Hi! On the Woodpecker today, making this game for my grandson.
Like any toddler, our grandson plays with toys. Like any nice grandparents, I thought of making him a toy. The first thing I do is cut some square pieces of plywood. Next, I cut rabbits on all the sides for the bottom and on two sides for two more pieces. The remaining two sides are now too wide because of the rabbits, so I need to remove some wood. Now that I can see it's the right width, I can cut the other side. Now everything fits perfectly, but because of the rabbits, the sides are too high. I need to take care of that. After a final fitting test, I can cut some holes in the sides. I begin by marking the center. Then it's time to go to the CNC to cut the first side. I cut 3 different shapes on each side. Here is the first side. In fact, I made 6 different designs, one for each side of the cube. Here you can see the side I've just finished. After exporting the toolpaths, it's time to go to the CNC to cut this. To help me place each side perfectly in place, I use a bolt as a stop. This really speeds up the process. Yes, I know, those cuts could have been cut on the scroll saw, but I wouldn't have had this precision with that cutting speed. But even with the cuts made, I'm not done, because I have to remove all the small tabs that were supposed to hold the pieces in place. Before going any further, I sand all the sides. Then I stick two opposite sides together with double-sided tape, make a mark half the thickness of the plywood, and drill both sides at once. Now it's time to glue this. All I need to do is wait a full night to let the glue dry. The next morning, I get some pieces of cedar lying around for the movable pieces, but I'm only going to use the round ones. I begin by cutting them in half. I make sure that the cut is straight and plane it to 1 1/8 inch thick. I begin with a test. It's quite important to check if 1/16 of clay is enough. Before I can test this, I need to remove the tabs that were holding the circle in place. Perfect. Now I can cut the square and the hexagon shapes. As a matter of fact, I cut all 18 pieces. I made some sheets to the size of my cedar planks with all the forms on them. When they are all cut, just like for the circle, I need to remove all that's remaining of the tabs. Finally, all the pieces are cleaned and tested. This is important. It's now time to finish the butts. I begin by sanding all the exterior, so everything is clean and flush. Then I route a round over on all the edges. This will be perfect. But the lid has the same size as the box. I need to make it smaller so it can enter the opening. Perfect. Next, I need to mark the placement of the pilot holes for the lid. Now it's time to try the lid in place. This is working quite nicely, but I'm missing a stop. If I want the moon shape to work, part of the stop has to go. And now I'm using my scroll saw. To hold the lid in place, I'm going to use a magnet. I need to drill a hole for the magnet cup. Now I can find where to drill the hole on the lid for the washer. For this, I just put a screw inside the cup, press the stop on the lid, and now I have a dimple which I can use to drill for the washer. The stop has to be glued in place. I use some plywood cutoff to figure out where to glue it. Now it's time to wait for the glue to dry. When it is, the cup can be glued in place with instant glue. I also use the same glue for the washer. Now I can reassemble it to make a final test. Everything works as it should be. The lid and the shapes. But I want to apply some protection, so I brush a coat of shellac on every piece of cedar and all the surfaces of the box. Now I need to wait about 1 hour or so before I can wrap the shellac with steel wool. Then I can apply a second shellac coat. Again, I need to wait for it to dry. The next day, I can make the final assembly. Our grandson's new toy is finished. We just have to give it to him for Christmas. This was how I make the sorting box for our grandson. And see you soon for another episode of The Woodpecker.